Hey guys, Stealth here. Today I'm looking at a replay that was sent in by Shiota. Now he's one of the newer players in Wargame and he sent in this replay for me to comment on so he could see what he could improve in his next gameplay. He's using a North Korea deck, a general deck, and I suppose you could say that a North Korean deck, at least my opinion of it, is not that good. I don't really like the North Koreans if they are on their own. They seem, at least for my taste, to rely too much on spam tactics and not really have anything in the sense of high-end infantry, high-end vehicles, high-end tanks, other than of course the T90 MS. So if you want to have a, let's say, better experience, I suggest going either for, let's say, the Korean Alliance, which is North Korea and USSR, or North Korea and China. Because between those two you at least have a slightly better combination of units. Anyway, by the looks of it, he's going up north to India. He has quite a few forces, some in helicopters, some in BTRs and Korshuns. Now Korshuns, they are just North Korea's version of the BMP-1, so they are not really anything special. We had a couple of helicopters which are being spawned over the road. Some recoilless rifle troops or fire support squads. Aside from that, I'm seeing one Spog, a second Spog, one Chanmaho CV tank. Okay, that's interesting. Let's push this up a little bit. How's the rest of the map? We've got Sam over on the right. And that leaves Bublik, who seems to be deploying his forces over on the right. He's going in for the expensive tank move. Anyway, we're here for Shiota. Let's see how he's doing. He's rushing in his forces, trying to drop off infantry as quickly as possible in order to capture this zone. And of course, who has the most income is going to win, because this is a conquest game. He's pushing up with his forces as quickly as possible. ATS 103. What he doesn't really have is a tank. I usually try to bring at least one tank, even if it's just a cheap one. Because what a tank can do for you is try to knock out some of the cheaper fire support vehicles or transports that the enemy team might have. Now he's dropping off some Biban Chungpos, Gyeongbyongs. I'm not sure why he's dropping them off here. They are, in a way, considered light infantry, but they're not really that good. He is managing to push them into the force as quickly as possible, losing a lot of MI8s in the process. Now pushing this aggressively with helicopters, especially against something that's coming in from Anna, is risky. Especially if you don't have any kind of supporting, let's say, attack helicopters or other sort of airstrike capability, which can be used to knock down any kind of AA response that they might have. If you have that, you have a reasonable chance of pushing into this town. But still, Blue Force route for reinforcements from Anna to Boris is a lot shorter than yours, which has to cross over the bridge in Constantine, pass through Ivan, and then make it all the way to Boris. Now this is something that I would do slightly differently. He has quite a lot of forces over here in the front line. I'm not sure if he's using these as a sort of stalling forces, which are there to hold up the rest of the reinforcements so that his troops can get into position, or if he's trying to reinforce that position with his troops back here. Something else that I would do differently here is not push into forests like these if you only have fire support vehicles or AFVs. Always double up. Make sure you have infantry supports, so Korshuns, BMP-1s, whichever version your country has, and push in with infantry. Because these guys could have very quickly helped to wipe out the Navy SEALs, as the Navy SEALs seem to be engaging the Korshuns. And this would have saved him at least a little bit of damage, as well as making it a bit more efficient. And we got one ATS 103 fire support unit here, a couple of UAZ recons, but he doesn't really have anything to deal with those tanks. I know that Korshuns carry ATGM, the Suzong-Po, but Suzong-Po, let's face it, is not really reliable if you're facing off against a couple of Ontos and Eras. Those are more likely to kill you before you kill them. Oh, actually a decent shot there from a Korshun. We got one survivor over here. He's going for the What? He just blew up an onto us. Well, I didn't expect that to happen. I hope he's not going to pull that thing back, because that lonely guy crossing the road, bit of a risk. Now again, this is where a tank or two or fire support unit would have been really useful, because you could have killed off those tanks and possibly pushed into Boris, because I don't think Boris has that many units inside. Over on the middle, there's a bit of engagement going on in Elena and Leonid. And over on the right, they just have one Spetsnaz VMF unit as recon, and nothing else. Blue Force leading by +2, so they're doing really well. And it looks like Red 4 is in a bit of trouble here. The Korshins are being engaged heavily, and they cannot put up against a couple of M60 ERAs. They just won't be able to do it. The only thing that's saving them right now is Blue Force's lack of reconnaissance. Lack of reconnaissance as well as lack of range, because I think that those tanks are in range of the Korshins, or barely. And the Korshins have slightly more range. But the problem is that they too cannot see the tanks. So next time, make sure you have your reconnaissance here, so that's going to be able to spot those vehicles. And then your Korshins with their ATGMs, abysmal as they may be, with 45% accuracy and 14 armor penetration, you can still kill stuff. Now he's pushing in with some infantry here, but these, they're pretty good groups if they are full strength. They're 10-man elite squads, 30 points each. I wouldn't be pushing, not with 5 guys out of my possible 20. Because 1 or 2 rounds from a tank is going to wipe out this squad. Which is a big risk. Especially if you run into 30 Marines and their backup. So stuff like this, be very careful. Best way is to just pull back and get ready for an offensive when you have more troops and when you know you can actually push into this zone and capture it. Blue Force now sitting in a comfortable +3. Red Force really going to have to fix this quickly if they want to stay in this match for longer than 15 minutes. Because at this rate, it's not going well. They do have a BTR going into Jot. That should have happened a long time ago, guys. That's costing you a lot of points. They're pushing across. Yep, this is a problem. They're pushing across. They don't know where the M60s are. Polite Green Man hasn't moved them. And now these M60s are taking shots at the BTRs. They are getting worried. And they're rightly so. Because these guys have an accuracy of 68% out of 55. So their veterancy as well as their range is helping to make sure they get hits. If you get hit in a transport and you have an infantry unit inside, the infantry unit is also going to take damage. So make sure that you have either a smoke screen up here if you want to push across, or that you offload the infantry and take a slightly different route where you're not as likely to take fire. Korshin is trying to do what he can, manages to hit an M60. Didn't really do anything because the M60 has 12 frontal armor versus the Korshin, which does 14 damage. You can see that his infantry again got wiped out. Pushing in with some ATS 103. They're good units for fire support. They're not great at engaging a tank, because these guys only have 13 armor penetration and no armor. The M60 is going to look at these things, laugh at them, and shoot them in the face, at which point they will inevitably die. The Chonmaho 4 is a slightly better alternative, as this thing can actually do some damage if they can be spotted. And that could be the problem. If Red 4 does not have enough reconnaissance here, then the tanks might not be able to see each other. Or rather, the Chonmaho might not be able to see the tank on the other side and not be able to kill him. What I would do here is try to get an HGM vehicle of some sort. Now, I haven't played North Korea in ages, so I don't know exactly what kind of HGM units they have. But an HGM unit is relatively safe compared to a tank if you're going to deal with these M60s. And let's face it, he needs these gone, because they're blocking off his line of assault here. He seems to be firing some mortars, 120mm mortars. They're going to do some damage, at least panic damage, and they're already going worried. But they won't exactly kill them off, not without firing a lot of rounds. They may get the Ontos though, because the Ontos is not that heavily armored. Let's see what other units he's bringing in. Because, come on, you have a lot of income in a conquest mode like this. A6 Intruder towards the middle. I don't really see these things being used very often. Interesting choice. He's not wrong. He's actually making it out alive. Chonmaho manages to kill the Ontos. Now the Chonmaho has a decent chance against the M60s, because the M60s is panicked and worried. Really took a big hit there. One tank against two. I doubt it. Now he has two recons sitting here. Has to hit another M60. Come on. It's gonna be tricky. If you're in an engagement like this, where you have one tank against two, make sure you use every kind of advantage that you can pull out of your deck. The units that he had in here were some mortars. Fire those mortars at the tanks and you're likely to stun them, making sure that they're not going to fire, at least for a while. That is the kind of edge that you need right now. So make sure that you stun these tanks. You will do damage, you'll maintain their ability to stay stunned, or you can send an SU-25K, whichever works for you. I gotta say, I'm quite surprised that thing didn't get shot down. Now the question is, how can he push into this forest? We know that there's at least 30 Marines in there. At least, and probably more. A decent way to do that would be to try and use your mortars on their last known position, or to probably drop a B5 bomb on their heads. That's something that the North Koreans have going for them, and it's a really, really powerful weapon. Polite Green Man is rather politely parking his tanks here out in the field, waiting to be killed. I'm not sure why he's not putting them in the tree line, but that's something that Shiota might be able to exploit. At least the Ontos can be easily killed off with mortars. Now the way that I play mortars is I have them on a hotkey. I usually use my, let's say, 1, 2, 3, and 4 hotkeys for fast call-in units, and 7, 8, and 9 for artillery units. I'm not sure why I ever came up with that system or how, but that's the system I use. So if I have these two mortars in the back, I would select them, hotkey 7, and I see these Ontos, which are very, very vulnerable units, hit 7, right click, done. And then hold shift and tell them to move away, so they're not going to be in the same position, being easy to kill off. Also, a couple of LAV-Ms coming in, which means that he has spotted them. Now he needs to be ready to kill those, get ready to engage them as they're going to start firing at him. We know that their AA cover isn't great, and that's something I might be able to exploit here. Because if you have a couple of mortars and you have a fast jet with a couple of bombs on it, you might be able to actually kill the mortars when they are firing. Now the right side of the map seems to be pretty empty, really. We got a Leclerc pulling back, Mi-28 engaging. Ooh, Mi-28 narrowly missed that. Those 70%, that might be a hit. That's going to be the end of the Leclerc. If it misses, oh dear. Mirage going in to kill off the Mi-28. I think that tank actually made it out alive. Anyway, here's the mortars that I was expecting. One of his UAZs got blown up because it was too close to the tank. It actually drove fire that was meant for the tank, or they're just guessing. Either way, they're starting to take quite a bit of damage here. Now, the way that I would do this, with the knowledge that I have now, so I'm not going to switch this to neutral, I was about to, but I'm going to stay at Shiota's point of view. I would want to get some units into this tree line, and then into this town here, because if I can lock down this town, the hop over into Anna is not that long. To do that, I would need to take care of these tanks. And helicopters are not really a good go, because I know that there's some sort of infrared AA there. The missiles that hit the jet, the Su-25K, were too weak to be able to fire from, let's say, heavy platforms. They were definitely not an IHawk. What you can expect though, and considering that these are probably all marine units, is a marine deck, which means an infantry heavy deck. It's going to be very powerful at dealing with these building to building fights. So make sure that you have units in there that can deal with that. So make sure you have either a B5 on standby, make sure you have a napalm tank on standby, fire support units like the ATS 103s. If you can put those over there, they can fire support into this town over there. You'd want to have a bit of infantry in this forest as quickly as possible, although getting there is the hard part, so this forest would have to be the first objective. Clearing out this forest will allow you to start pushing into the town. First off, those tanks have got to go, because right now if I'm pushing across here, I'm likely to get spotted, get those tanks and or the Ontos to fire at me. So these have got to go. The Ontos are not too hard, you wipe those out with your mortars. The M60s are slightly more difficult, but a T90 MS or something like a T72, and again I'm not exactly current on what kind of tanks North Korea gets because I never play them. A medium heavy tank, at least something that has let's say more than 16 armor, would be ideal to deal with these M60A1s. Then, once these are out of the way and you can start pushing through this forest, try to kill their AA, drop a B5 bomb on this town, push in your infantry, make sure there is both infrared AA infantry, some anti-tank capability, and some elite troopers in here to deal with those marines, or at least the survivors. Capture this block of buildings, lock it down, and then try to hop across and get over into Anna with possibly a frontal assault force, as well as a CV, because the faster you can neutralize Anna, the better it will be. So, let's see what he's going to be doing. Shiota is pushing with more infantry, and again, this is what happens. Shiota, you have your mortars back here. Make sure you use those to either shoot at the vehicles that are firing at you, because I can guarantee you that there is an LAV-25 scout vehicle over here. There it is. I recognize the Bushmaster, that rapid rate of fire that is killing off your troop transports and your troops inside. It will be really easy to just wipe this thing out with a bunch of artillery. So he only has 4 of his Yukyonde 90s left. A couple of Zil cargoes are coming in. Those... oh god, don't tell me you're parking those in the open. Shiota, come on, move those forward. Here come the mortars. Can Blue foresee that? Not exactly, but they know that they're offloading troops here somewhere. And now they can see the troops. Again though, he's pushing with a very, very wounded unit into a full health group of Marines, including their backup. And you're gonna be lucky that he's not even using the LVTP-7A1s yet, because those would easily tear through the Yukyondes, which they're about to do, and you lose your infantry. He even surrendered the Zil cargo to them. Oh god, Shiota, don't push in with your cargoes. They're resupply units, they're not attack units. Step 1 for me would be to build up some forces. Tanks, infantry, and more mortars. Step 2, fire mortars at this position. Step 3, fire mortars at these vehicles or put up a smoke screen. Step 4, push into the forest. By doing it in that way, you have a pretty decent chance that you're going to be able to capture this position. Just bringing in an F5, which is a napalm bomber, I believe. Come on, F5. God, I should play North Korea again just to get reacquainted with their units. Yep, napalm bomber. That's a pretty cheap aircraft, 60 points. It will allow to see what kind of AA response they have. Nothing yet. This is a problem. This is a huge problem. 2 M1A1 HC main battle tanks. North Korea, short of the T90, does not have anything that can deal with these bastards. They are just too heavily armored. So the one thing that he could throw at these is the SU-25K. There it is. Manages to kill off one tank, shoot into the other quite heavily, there. At this stage I would put an attack marker down there, hit my hotkey for my mortars, which is 7, and engage that position. Because I saw AA missiles go up from this position, and I believe from there as well, and hit my unit. So let's see. Yep. Avenger. And over here we got a Chaparral. So I was slightly off. They're not inside that building, but they're in there. And he's just keeping his Chaparral, or sorry, his Avenger in the same position as well. So you could easily wipe this thing out. No armor whatsoever. 45-point AA unit. It's going to keep threatening your position if you keep it up. And they seem to be pushing in a command vehicle, which is going to neutralize the +1 that Red 4 has managed to achieve. And when I want HC taking a lot of mortar fire, you're going to fire off another salvo if you want to kill this thing. You better be quick about it. Did they get it? I was only seeing one main battle tank. Yep, they got it. Both of the main battle tanks have been destroyed. Good. That takes care of that worry. Now what I'm also missing is infrared AA. So, let's say infantry AA. Because sometimes Blue 4 seems to be flying helicopters pretty close to this position. And being able to shoot those things down, or at least stun the Aardvark here, would be really useful. He only is using the Sparks. And these units, while they're not bad, they are in no way capable of shooting down a jet that far away. I have a range of 2600 meters against a jet. Oh, oops. Lost the Korshun. I'm very happy that he cannot see any of the other forces. Shiota, don't go pushing across with these BTRs, that could be a problem. You seem to be spotting a command vehicle here, on and off. There it is. Even now, in the replay, my first response is to go for F2 on my keyboard, which is my attack marker hotkey, and then mark this position. To know that there is a command vehicle there, and that if I have any kind of long-range artillery, or maybe an airstrike, I can wipe the thing off the map. It's reflexes like those that can really help you mark your positions and get ready to kill off important targets, such as the AA unit over there, that Avenger, and or the command unit. I'm not sure they got it. I don't... Oh yeah, they got it. How did that happen? Not really too sure. Red 4 is now sitting at +2. They're slowly but steadily coming back into the game. And bloody hell, these guys are aggressive in spotting. I really hope they're not going to get detected, because they're doing a great job of spotting everything that's coming into this position. What he's also spotting is a perfectly lined up row of 4 mortars. You can only see 2 of them, but you can see the outline of the other 2. Perfect target to fire at with your mortars. They have the range, 7,700 meters. They can easily wipe those things off the map. And trust me, LEVMs, you want to get rid of those bastards, because they are very, very difficult to kill, because they're so fast. And they also have a decent rate of fire. Now he's sent in the B5 and I lost it. I'm not too sure where the B5 went in though. I didn't see that. It was not here. I would have seen it go down. Guys, if you have any other tips for Shiota that I'm completely overlooking, let him know in the comments so I can help him out and he can turn into a better player, because before long he might be on your team. And of course you want to be on, you want to have someone on your team who actually is good at the game. I'm not saying that he completely sucks at the game. He has the basic grasp of putting infantry in force, getting recon in position, providing fire support. But tweaking this strategy will allow him to improve his game. Okay, here come the T-55 napalms. Good to move those up. I'm just curious what he's going to do with these, because if he pushes these in now, they're going to be dead meat before they get there. Thanks to the M60 ERAs that are over there. Okay, now he's going for the mortars. Very inaccurate fire from those mortars on his side, I gotta say. I thought these VTTs were slightly more accurate. Okay, 36-40 meter dispersion, that makes sense. They took a bit of damage, but they're not dead. F4J Phantom 2 patrolling. That's the air patrol from the guy that's operating here, Polite Green Man. Look at that. That is good use of napalm tanks. Well done. That is what I want to see. Slowly but steadily torching this forest. Let's see how Polite Green Man's responding. And he is responding. He does not like that. Oh, F-18 Hornet shot down. Beautiful. This forest is not quite as safe as he hoped it would be. Shiota, kudos for this. This is a really good executed strike with those TO-55s. Aside from that, I'm not seeing any kind of AA here. They have the Avenger, they got the Chaparral. And oh, there's more fire being poured into that forest. If you would drop a B5 bomb on this position, you would wipe out absolutely everything. That would be one hell of an effective strike. A couple of Yukiondays are pushing in, or Yukjondays. I'm not sure how you're supposed to pronounce that. I'm a bit worried about that Cobra though. They do have AA guns. The Spog here is going to have to try and engage that. Little note about these Spogs, they're all active. Which means that if a seed aircraft is going to fly over, they're going to be able to detect the radar emissions and kill the vehicle. So be very careful. What I usually do is hotkey all of these. So just double click on one of them and you're going to select all of the same type. I hotkey those to 5. Again, not sure, it's just a habit of mine. And by hotkeying those, I'm able to very quickly turn off and on my AA, depending on what I need at that specific moment. Napalm tanks are trying to get another salvo of napalm in. Chunmahos are being engaged here. And unfortunately the Spark was moving, which lost almost all accuracy. Chunmahos are dead. TO-55 is dead. The second one seems to be dying. Whoa, he's pushing in a very expensive unit to deal with that tank. Hellfire missiles against a, what is it, 40 point, 35 point napalm tank? That is rather overkill. I usually send out Seahawks only, if I have them in my deck, only when I'm dealing with super heavies. Because these guys have missiles that can kill off virtually anything. Now this is a very well executed push. The light riflemen are going down. I'm just worried about these LVTPs. So those grenade launchers are still very quick to chew through all of this infantry. Let's transport down. A bunch of Marines are coming over. Here comes the napalm. Use your mortars. Come on, use your mortars. You have those. You have them for a reason. If your infantry is engaging here, you can very safely fire off your mortars at this position. And you're just going to do a lot of damage to the infantry. M60s are now pushing in. They're taking fire from one Chunmaho 4 there. Chunmaho 4 lost sight or range. No, they're still in range. M60 hit. Ooh, these guys are slowly but steadily dying. Unfortunately, his cargoes are empty. This is not going too well. I gotta say though, when I saw that +3, that Blue 4 had amassed in the first couple of minutes, I thought that this game was going to be over very quickly. But Red 4 is pushing it back, especially down here in the middle. This is Bublik and Samuel. They're working together to push back in the middle. And if they can get Dimitri, they're going to have a +3 even. TO-55 engaging an M60 duo. That's a bad trade. You're never going to be able to kill two main battle tanks which have more armor and a better gun and better accuracy than you. He's stunning these M60s with his mortars. Good play there. Now finish them off with something. Push that tank forward and kill them. That is, unless that Humvee Tow 2 is still here, but it seems to have either been killed off or pulled all the way back. I think it's dead. He's now firing into the Chaparral. I'm not sure if he saw that unit or if he's just guessing. This, by the way, is another very nice mortar target. It's even landed. Look at that, that's nice. We're gonna find opponents like these who just land their helicopters. Perfect target for mortars. 80-point attack helicopter there. And again, you're definitely in range with these mortars. He's not healing them up, he's not pushing in new forces. I think that's part of his problem, why he's not winning this engagement. In Conquest you have a very high amount of income. At least, usually. What you can do with that is amass forces, especially in a deck that seems to be relying on amassing forces like North Korea. So what you can do with all of those income, or all those points, is push into this sector, get an attack group ready, and then start to push right into Boris with all of your might. You have a decent amount of mortars, you have the B5 that you can sacrifice if you have to. But if you can get a good foothold here, you're going to have a much better position to lash out at Anna. And I gotta say, they're sitting at a very steady +3 now even. 254 versus 255. Way to go for Samuel and Bublik. They're doing a very, very good job. Yukionde 90s. There's only one survivor from this team. And Blue 4 is completely resupplying whatever they have in here, because I see a lot of M35 cargoes coming in. He's pushing back in with his Junchaldes. Yeah, I think that's it, Junchaldes. These guys are moving up, getting back to spot, but you don't really need them over here. This is close enough, because whatever's going to go down this road is going to end up here eventually. So pushing up all the way here is more likely to get yourself spotted than anything else. So stay at range, stay safe, and not like that. Oh, not like that. He pushed right into a recon and 2 tanks. This position that he had here with his recon was perfect. Don't just that. Just make sure that if you're sitting there, just perfect, stay there. Because with that, you now have a very, very nice situation. You can see whatever's coming in, you can counter whatever's coming down that road. And by doing that, you have a massive advantage over Blue 4, who does not seem to have the capacity to see what is coming down from Red 4. At least, I don't think that they have been able to sneak down a recon here. No, they got nothing. So that recon position that he had over there, gained by a lot of patience and time. If you have a position like that, it's hard to achieve. Maintain it. Don't sacrifice that unit for a quick spot over there. You don't need it. ATS 103 trying to get some shots in. M60s are now starting to return fire. Mortar fire going into the last known position of the M60s. Ooh, it's going to get tight. I don't think he's going to be able to kill them. Shot going in. Hit. You can see that the ATS 103 barely has enough power to go through. 13 armor penetration against a tank that has 12 armor. They seem to be firing at maximum range, so he's not going to do a lot of damage. He's offloaded a couple of Gongbombyongs. Jesus, these terms, I gotta say. He can spot some more stuff now. How's he doing that? Oh, he's got an MD-500 Delta recon helicopter here. HGMs are being fired, not very accurately, unfortunately, because the Mi-25 Fleta, 35% accuracy. Not my type of helicopter. Now we're getting somewhere. Fire all the mortars that you got into this tree line. Blow it all up. Now guys, before I forget to mention this, while I'm being pretty harsh on Shiota, I absolutely appreciate the effort that he's taken to send in this replay. If you're not that good at the game, and you're not especially proud of your replay, because he already wrote in his replay description, well look, I know I suck, you still send it in. That takes guts. So, let's not all go too harsh on this guy. I'm already being, let's say, too harsh. I really shouldn't be going too aggressive at him like this. When I see stuff like this, I'm thinking, okay, there's so much you can improve, so much you can do better. I'm trying to tell him all at the same time, which of course is not really going to help. I really need to phase out what I'm explaining. Look, now he's building up an offensive. I gotta say, with 4 minutes left on the clock, I think Red 4's gonna win it. AGSs are trying to get into a position where they can use their grenade launchers. These are great helicopters for fire support. They are not that good at just veering in and winging it. Like that. What I use for, or how I use those, let's say little birds, because let's face it, that's what they are. The way that I use them, I send them in after my other units are already engaging the main force here. So that they're going to come in and pour down even more suppression fire onto those targets. By doing it the way he did, he's opening those very weak helicopters up to an instant retaliation fire, instant attack from AA positions, and that's costing him both of the helicopters. Look at that, a lot of Black Hawks are now moving in. Looks like Ramen Noodles might be using an airborne deck. Oh, that Chon Maho went down. These things, if you're not familiar with them, ZSU 57-2s are really nice to push through forests. Might not be the first thing you consider, because they're only 20-point units, but they got 5 frontal armor. They have a 15% accuracy at maximum range. At short range, they're going to have a lot more accuracy, and you can pretty reliably hit stuff, especially at point blank range. Seahawk is coming in. I think that's the Seahawk that we saw earlier. He's going right for the Chon Maho, wiping it out with one missile, of course, thanks to Hellfires. 57-2s are coming in. 57-2s are never going to outrange the Black Hawk. Black Hawk has a range of 2,800. They only got a range of 1,500 against that helicopter. He's pushing in now. A couple of Marines. Come on, use your mortars. What, they're empty? The mortars are empty. Okay. Well, that's a bit unfortunate. A lot of stuff here. Look at that. Now they're killing stuff. Okay, here's the thing. He's only using one gun. If you want to have these things move in and all engage the target, what you need to do is split them up into groups of 1 unit. So just singles, and then hit Q, or select them all, hit Q and push, let's say somewhere there. They're going to keep moving until they are in range to fire. Because right now you only got 1 out of 4 guns that's actually engaging this position. And you can do so much more damage if you have 4 of these guns firing. You can say they are pushing across right over Delta Force. Now he has 4 of these guns firing. LVTB 781 dead. Good job, Shiota, pushing in. Light Riflemen are next, probably. Yep, there goes Delta Force. But there's not a lot that infantry can do against these things. The one thing that Blue 4 could hope to do here is have, let's say, a light to medium tank here. Those things might be able to kill these before they are starting to pose too much of a problem. We got about 1 minute left on the clock. He's going to kill these Marines probably. But what does Blue 4 have backing them up? Nothing! Look at that, the town's empty. And they managed to almost kill off the TACCOM here. And of course, Red 4 is definitely going to win this. They're at a +3 right now. And that's how they're going to win this battle. Very well turned around by Boblik and Samuel there. Grenade launchers against heavy armor. Not really going to work. Now it's Shiota's turn to start capturing units, and he managed to capture an M35. It was empty, so be it, but you know, it's a nice trophy. Now the next phase for me would be to start using mortars on these buildings and these, so I can push into this position. And with this, I have a, say, lockdown. It's going to be very hard for Blue 4 to push in with reinforcements without me being able to lock those guys right down. More mortar fire, but Polite Green Man is already very, very cleverly pulling these guys away, because staying in here would not be very beneficial to him. Alright, so Shiota did manage to go positive, and I think that with a bit of training, looking at your replays, seeing what you lack, you can do a lot better than you did. But still, well played, a lot of stuff to improve. Read the comments. If you have any comments for Shiota so that he can improve his gameplay, let him know down here in the comments, because altogether we can improve the community. So, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Hope you can give this guy some help. And with that, I'll be seeing you next video.